Welcome back to the cryptowrld channel, everyone. My name is Josh, and right now, Bitcoin just broke below very important support in the short term as the US stock market is dumping in the short term while the price of oil is actually spiking massively to the upside. So are we talking about why that is and what this means for Bitcoin and crypto moving forward, alongside Ethereum now confirming a new bearish divergence that we need to pay attention to, while the price of Solana is retesting very important support and the price of Chainlink is continuing the rejection from this strong area of resistance. So are we talking about all of that and more later in the video? So definitely watch to the end. First of all, just before taking a look at the Bitcoin and crypto charts today, we need to talk about what just happened over the last one day, because as I said in my last video, obviously the price of Bitcoin was holding above this key level of support, and for a few hours, we were bouncing from this level of support, holding this as support in the short term. And so all was well in the markets, at least until Israel decided to bomb Iran. So obviously this escalation in the conflict has, of course, shaken up markets. We can see the spike in oil here. This obviously is having a major move towards the upside, because anytime there's conflict in the Middle East, obviously a lot of oil comes from that region. And so obviously anytime there's a lot of conflict happening in the Middle East, that will spike the price of oil, basically meaning that energy prices go towards the upside, which is bearish for the economy. We actually saw a dump over the last one day in the US stock market, in the post market, just at the end of the last trading day. In the pre-market, we've seen a major drop off in the US stock market. And of course, Bitcoin and crypto is highly correlated to what the stock market is doing. Anytime the stock market has a decent dump or a decent pump, usually Bitcoin and crypto plays out something similar. And so that's what's happened over the last one day to cause some short-term chaos in the financial markets. And once again, this chaos in the stock market, in the price of oil, etc., also flows over to Bitcoin and crypto. And so this is one of those things that obviously you cannot predict in the charts. From time to time, we do see an event like this that can obviously impact markets in the shorter term. But on the larger time frames, those sort of events don't necessarily have as big of an impact on these larger timeframes. They're usually only shorter term movements. And so that's why, at least in my position, personally, I like to try to stick to slightly larger timeframes. And especially when it comes to trading crypto, I'd like to take more swing trades rather than very short term trades, because obviously very short term trades, like for example, if you opened a long position at this support level right here for the price of Bitcoin, you would have got basically screwed on that position thanks to this event that's just happened. But with that being said, looking at the Bitcoin price charts, once again on the weekly time frame, the super trend indicator still sitting in the green, so not much has changed on this chart over the last one day. But if we're looking at this weekly Bitcoin chart, we are starting to once again lose a little bit more bullish momentum in the weekly Bitcoin MACD. And so this means that we're now again starting to slowly move towards a possible bearish crossover, but we're still some way away from potentially confirming that. So overall, it's technically more bullish than it is bearish, but just keep this in mind. We are now starting to lose more bullish momentum. And if we're taking a look at this weekly Bitcoin price chart, of course, we are seeing lower highs in the weekly RSI while seeing higher highs in the price of Bitcoin, which is of course a bearish divergence. And technically speaking, we have seen just a couple of small confirmation signals to actually confirm this new bearish divergence. And so just keep this in mind. This is still a warning signal to pay attention to on the larger timeframes that could possibly cause a larger slowdown in the price of Bitcoin for potentially a period of months. Not necessarily a massive bear market, but maybe for a period of weeks or months, we could see a larger slowdown. So either a larger sideways consolidation or perhaps a little bit more of a pullback over the next few weeks or months, if especially this further confirms. But if you want more of a long-term price prediction video for the Bitcoin cycle, the bull cycle versus the bear market, let me know in the comment section down below if you want me to make a video like that, talking about the long term for Bitcoin and other charts like that. But with that being said, taking a look at the 3-day Bitcoin price chart, and for now, we are moving closer towards a possible bearish crossover. As I said, on the weekly time frame, once again, the weekly Bitcoin MACD starting to slowly once again move towards the bearish crossover, and on the 3-day time frame, it's also obviously happening here. And so if this pullback continues just a little longer, we could possibly see a bearish crossover very soon in the 3-day Bitcoin MACD, and then perhaps in a number of weeks from now, we could confirm a bearish crossover in the weekly Bitcoin MACD. And in case you're wondering, the last times that this basically basically happened here in the 3-day Bitcoin MACD was around December 2024 and around the end of March, early April 2024. And obviously we could see what came next for the price of Bitcoin, not necessarily a massive bear market or anything, but basically a larger slowdown, a setback in the price of Bitcoin for potentially a period of months. But once again, we've not yet fully confirmed this bearish crossover here. We're just getting very close to possibly confirming a bearish crossover. So keep that in mind. We are losing a little bit more bullish momentum here. And if we're taking a look at the daily time frame, for now, we're still holding above this very important area of support, at least as of recording this video, which is still sitting in between roughly 101,000 to 102,000. And so once again, as I've been saying this entire time since before we saw this previous bounce here, expect a lot of support in this region. Basically just above 100k, we now have a lot of support in that area, as we've seen many times recently. And so honestly, I wouldn't really start flipping bearish on the trend for the price of Bitcoin until we at least see a confirmed break below this area of support. If we see that, so for example, if we confirm daily candle closes below around 101,000 give or take, and especially if we fail to get back above that area, flipping it into resistance, in that situation, that would be significant bearish price structure on the daily time frame, pointing towards potentially more of a bearish trend. And of course, in that situation, that would likely confirm this bearish crossover in the MACD, pointing towards a larger slowdown. So that is what I would like to see before actually pointing towards a larger correction or bearish trend for a period of weeks or months. But once again, right now, we have not currently seen that. We are getting close, but we have not yet seen a break below this area of support. So for all we know, this could just be another short-term pullback during a larger bullish trend. And in case you're wondering, if we were to break below roughly 101,000 with confirmation, the next major area of support that I'll be watching is sitting in between around 96 to 98,000. And if we're zooming into the shorter term, taking a look at the 4-hour time frame, obviously, as I said earlier in the video, we've just seen a break below this short-term level of support. And the moment we broke below that support, obviously, we continued the dump to the downside following the stock market, etc. And so when it comes to support and resistance levels to watch out for right now, first of all, I would be focusing on this previous low continuing to act as support at in between around 103.5k to 104k. Expect support around there. And if we break below around 103.5k, in that situation, expect more support in between, once again, as I said earlier, 101,000 to 102,000 based on this previous low. And of course, based on this area of support, as I said earlier, in between 101 to 102,000. And as for short-term resistance to watch out for, I would expect some resistance at roughly 105.5k. And of course, major resistance at just under 107,000. So in between around 106.7k to 107,000, give or take, expect resistance around there. And then if we can break through that area with confirmation, expect more resistance at close to 110,000. And if we're taking a look at the 4-hour Bitcoin RSI, obviously we just recently got very close to oversold in the 4-hour RSI. And the last couple of times we got very close to oversold or just hit oversold on the 4-hour time frame, we saw a local low in the price, and we were due to see a bit of a bounce in the coming 1 to 2 days. And so just keep this in mind, especially if the stock market plays out a little bit of a bounce, which it is already starting to do in the pre-market as of recording this video, we could likely see at least a little bit of a bounce in the price of Bitcoin. Not necessarily massive bullish momentum, but just a slight little bounce, a break from this bearish price action here. And then of course, ultimately, when we get closer towards overbought, that is a signal that we're running out of room towards the upside, and we're likely going to see a rejection. And obviously, we perfectly rejected from that 110k level, as I was talking about back then. And if we're taking a look at the Bitcoin liquidation heat map, we still have a lot of liquidity building at close to 112,000. But with that being said, we also have a smaller amount of liquidity building at close to 100,000. So keep that in mind. Those are the key levels to watch out for right now. But obviously, between the current price and both of these levels right here, we have other levels of support and resistance to watch out for where the price would likely struggle at. And if we're taking a quick look at the Bitcoin and crypto funding rates, currently a lot of these funding rates across most of these exchanges are moving towards the negative direction, which basically means there's a high demand right now to short Bitcoin and crypto, and not that many people interested in longing Bitcoin and crypto, because when the funding rates are negative, there's basically an extra premium you're paying to short Bitcoin and crypto in the form of extra funding fees you have to pay as a short position. And so negative funding rates is one of the ingredients for a possible short squeeze to happen, which would of course be bullish for the price of Bitcoin and crypto. I'm not saying we will see a short squeeze. I'm just saying the further the negative the funding rates go, the more likely a short squeeze will happen. So right now they are only just starting to flip towards the negative direction, but I will be keeping an eye on these funding rates, obviously. And so with all of that being said, what is my trading strategy? And well, right now, of course, I'm still in the larger long position, the swing trade long position, as I've been saying every day for over a month now, almost 2 months now on the channel. I'm bullish on the trend for the price of Bitcoin, as we could see here. And then, of course, during this larger bullish trend, we can see short-term dumps along the way during the trend. But once again, as I've said many times here on the channel, if we break below roughly 101,000, especially with confirmation to the downside with candle closes below that level, that'd be a change in price structure and pointing towards a possible trend reversal. And so we've not yet seen that as of recording this video, but if we were to see that, of course, I have my stop loss just below that point, which would automatically close the trade at that level in that worst case scenario, and I would close the trade in profits. But overall, just over the last 1 day, I've made no new changes to this position, so my realized profits still roughly the same as what I said in my last video. My stop loss still sitting at the same level as what I said in my last video. And so obviously the last change that I actually made to this trade was taking profits at approximately 110,000, as I shared here on the channel back then. I said I'll take profits at around 110,000, considering we have strong resistance there and we're likely going to reject from that exact level. And obviously that has played out exactly as predicted. And if you also want to take trades just like this for yourself to make a lot of easy profits in the crypto market, like what I'm doing right here, then of course you have to be set up ready to go on a crypto exchange. And personally, I'm taking this trade right here over on 2bit. So I'll make sure to leave a link to 2bit below this video in the description and in the pinned comment. And if you use that link, it'll take you to this page right here where you can claim some massive trading bonuses. Like for example, up to $50,000 you can claim on your 2bit account using the link below this video just by trading crypto. But if you're not one of these larger traders here, you can also get a $30 sign up bonus and a 20% deposit rebate up to a max of 200 USDT. So for example, if you deposit $1,000, you get a $200 bonus, but only if you use that link. And in case you're wondering, 2bit is a no KYC exchange, which means you can access it from basically any country in the world without needing any KYC. But as always, check your local regulations when it comes to trading crypto. And for whatever reason, if you don't want 2bit as an exchange, there's also BTNex as another exchange out there that I also trade on. So I'll also make sure to leave a link to BTNex below this video. And if you use that link, you can get some massive trading bonuses over here as well. Like for example, up to $45,000 in trading bonuses using the link below this video. And you can also get deposit bonuses. Like for example, if you deposit just $1,000, you get a $200 bonus over on BTNex as well. But once again, only if you use that link. So if you're going to be trading crypto anyway, you might as well get set up ready to go using the links below this video to those exchanges if you want to claim these massive bonuses that are only available using those links. And in case you're wondering, BTNex is also a no KYC exchange. But with that being said, taking a look at Ethereum on the daily time frame, and right now Ethereum is rejecting from that major area of resistance, still sitting in between roughly 2.7k to 2.8k. And obviously, as I said over the last few days, we were getting very close to a breakout above that 2.8k level, above this resistance. But like I also explained over the last few days, I have not opened any new trade here because we've not really seen a lot of confirmation to be confident in this breakout. So obviously I was waiting for more confirmation to be more confident in the breakout before possibly opening a trade, but we never actually saw that extra confirmation. So once again, right now we're still finding resistance in this area and rejecting from this area. And so continue to expect a lot of resistance in between roughly 2.7k to 2.8k, and also expect a lot of support at close to 2.4k, as we have seen many bounces just recently and over the last few weeks or so from around 2.4k. And if we were to actually confirm a break with candle closes below roughly 2.4k, in that situation, the next significant level of support to the downside is sitting at around 2.1k, and that could possibly happen in the coming days or weeks once again if we break below this support, because we now have a bearish divergence which is technically confirmed on the daily Ethereum price chart. And of course, I've already been talking about this over the last couple of days with higher highs already confirmed in the price. We're just simply waiting for this lower high to properly confirm in the daily Ethereum RSI. But just over the last 1 day, we have now seen some good confirmation here to actually confirm the lower high in place, to confirm the bearish divergence. And so what this means right now for the price of ETH is that we're most likely going to continue a slowdown in the price of ETH. So either at the very best, some sideways price action here, or potentially a little bit more of a pullback in the coming days and weeks. Usually a bearish divergence on the daily time frame lasts for a couple of weeks, give or take, sometimes shorter, sometimes longer, but that sort of time frame, expect a slowdown and a lack in bullish momentum for the price of ETH. And if we're taking a look at the price of Solana on the daily time frame, it's a similar situation for Solana. Obviously, we just perfectly rejected rejected from my exact level of resistance I've been warning about at around 167, and now we're running into this very important area of support sitting in between around 143 to 146. And so obviously there is still the possibility we could bounce from this area of support, as we've seen many times in the past. But if we actually break below around 143 with confirmation, so candle closes on the daily time frame below 143, and especially if we fail to get back above that area and find a resistance in that area, in that situation that would be massive bearish price structure for the price of Solana, and continue this as more of a bearish trend, most likely down towards roughly 124 to 125 as the next major area of support. And of course, over the last one day with this continued rejection in the short term, it's very much obvious that this bullish divergence is now completely invalid. So it already perfectly played out here in the form of a bullish relief, but the moment we started to see a breakdown in the price structure here in the RSI, like breaking below this low and especially starting to basically break below these lows in the price, etc., this breakdown in the price structure has of course now invalidated this bullish divergence. But it is worth pointing out there's the possibility a new bullish divergence could form for the price of Solana if the price creates a slight lower low in the price like this, while the RSI is still of course forming higher lows. So keep that in mind, that is possibly forming but currently not confirmed. And so overall, honestly, just expect similar price action for Solana as what I've been saying for Ethereum and Bitcoin. Of course, if Bitcoin continues a slight little bounce, it is likely that Solana for the next 1 or 2 days could hold this support. But obviously, if Bitcoin continues dumping, expect to break below this support for Solana. And in that situation, once again, the next target would be at around 125. And if we're taking a look at the price of XRP, it's a similar situation for XRP. Of course, we've continued this rejection from very close to this resistance at roughly 234 to 235, still acting as strong resistance. And we're now running into this level of support sitting in between roughly $2.05 to $2.10. And so far, we are finding support in this area, which at least in the immediate short term is some good news. But exactly like what I just said for Solana, if Bitcoin, for example, continues a further breakdown like this, that can also pull a lot of the crypto market down with it. So obviously pointing towards a possible break below around $2.05 to $2.10 in that situation. So really focus on what Bitcoin is doing to figure out what is most likely going to happen for a lot of these altcoins. And if we start breaking below this key area of support that I just mentioned for XRP, in that situation, the next major area of support to watch out for is sitting in between roughly 192 to 195. So just below $2. And below that, the next major level of support is sitting at close to $1.80. And in terms of the price structure for the price of XRP, technically speaking, we're in somewhat of a sideways price range. We're looking relatively neutral in terms of the price structure on the daily XRP price chart, but we are at risk of forming a possible head and shoulders pattern. So keep that in mind. If we were to break below roughly $2.05 with confirmation, of course, once again, that would be bearish price structure pointing towards a breakdown towards these lower targets. And of course, over the last one day, we've clearly now invalidated this bullish divergence, which means we should no longer expect the bullish divergence to play out. Obviously, it already played out very nicely here for close to 1 week, but now it's completely invalid. And so ultimately expect a slight little bounce from this support, but honestly, not really significant bullish momentum. And if we're taking a look at the price of Chainlink on the daily time frame, Chainlink is also showing very similar price action to what I've been saying throughout the video. Once again, Bitcoin and altcoins usually follow very similar price action. So Chainlink is continuing the rejection from this strong area of resistance, still sitting in between $14.90 to $15.50. So especially that $15.50 level is still acting as very strong resistance. And that's exactly where we rejected from. And so currently the price of Chainlink is coming in for a retest of this important level of support sitting at around $12.80. And so far, as of recording this video, we are finding some support at $12.80. But if we confirm a break below $12.80, especially with daily candle closes below that level, and especially if we fail to get back above that level, in that situation, we could find some short-term support at roughly $12.20. So just above $12. We do have some support around there, but especially if we break below $12, honestly, it's likely we would continue a move below $11, in between roughly $10 to $11 as the next major area of support. But obviously, at least for now, we are finding support in the short term at around $12.80. And once again, continue to expect a lot of resistance in between $14.90 to $15.50, and also some short-term resistance at just above $14, around $14.10, if we see a slight bounce here. And overall, expect similar price action for Chainlink and all of these altcoins as to what I said earlier for Bitcoin. And once again, if you want to get set up ready to go to take these trading opportunities to profit no matter what the price is doing, get set up ready to go using the links below below this video to those exchanges if you want to claim those massive bonuses that are only available using those links. And if you want to actually know how you can take these trades to make a lot of easy profits in the market, no matter what the market is doing, then make sure to watch these videos popping up right here on your screen. The video in the top left shows you how you can profit from bullish or bearish price action using long positions or short positions, and the video in the bottom left shows you how you can easily profit from choppy sideways price action. But anyway, that is everything that I have to say for today. I really hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next video.